Right, Jet?
Yes.
Oh my god, I love your shirt. I didn't realize what it was earlier. That's amazing.
You said not Star Wars, so
There we go.
This is not
Supergirl is not Star Wars. That is true. Let me put you on the thingy-maboodle. You want to look at some fan art with us?
I would love to do that.
Good, because you have no
didn't see it
choice.
this time.
Let's see. Let me remove all the old fan art. How you doing today?
I am doing all right. Yeah, really excited about the Age of Discovery launch in just less than a week now. Jeez, wow.
Yeah. You crunching okay?
Yeah, for the most part, things are coming out pretty smooth.
Well, that's good. Jet, for those of you who haven't seen her on the stream before, because she's only been on once, is our systems designer, and she is the lady responsible for ship stats and consoles and all of those things now. Borticus has handed that over to her capable hands. So, blame her. So this is a shot from Doug in Idaho. He sent us a Foundry screenshot from one of his new missions. That is super pretty, dude. Well done. And what else did we get? That's new. Oh, we got this from Weston Webb, which is one of the new Cardassian ships. What shield visual is that?
I would guess Dyson?
Maybe Dyson, yeah. That looks super good.
Dyson has that really bright white.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super nice. I love what shield visuals can do. But anyway, we're not here to talk about shield visuals. Or are we? I don't know. Is there a shield visual in the Herc lockbox?
I believe there is,
okay.
But I don't recall.
All right, I thought there was. But anyway, let's take the shield visual off this guy. Where would you like me to go? What map would you like me to go to show off these beasts in combat?
I have no idea.
Okay. Let's see. We'll do Argala then, because that's what I always used to do.
Yeah, Argala is relatively popular for fighting things.
Yeah.
I've spent quite a lot of time there.
All right. Dennis, if you're looking to send screenshots, the email address is ambassadorkel@gmail.com. We'll probably won't be looking at any more for the stream today, but that's where to send it. And let's get your name on the screen. All right, so we're starting with the carrier. Now, were the Herc ships the first ones that you officially did?
Yeah, the Herc ships were the first ones I really got to work on. There was a very rough draft that was handed to me, but I mean, saying the Herc ships are mine is never really accurate because every part of shipbuilding is a massive team effort from so many people. But it was up to me to come up with the final plan for the stats, implement them, and do everything.
Now, as someone who is a known STO power gamer, how do you design a ship to not be the most broken and wonderful thing ever?
Well, it's actually not that difficult to not try to design the most broken and difficult thing ever. And it helps a lot. I can see it helps me to see the kind of things that could more easily become the horribly broken things.
That's true.
I'm not perfect, and anyone who ever tells you that they are is lying. But
except for me, always listen to me when I tell you I'm perfect.
He is perfect in every way. But so there's a lot of it comes down to comparisons to other ships that we've released. Like, I know every time I put out a ship blog or somebody else puts out a ship blog, there's like, hey, it's kind of like this, or it reminds me of that. And that's because when I go to sit down on a sheet at a ship, I have this spreadsheet that Jeremy passed off to me, and it lists a whole bunch of different ships, comparisons, and that's one of the ways that I help make sure everything's in line.
Oh my god, that's so good!
I don't know if Thomas has been up here today.
Thomas has not, no. It was just Hector and Ian.
Okay. Because I remember when we mentioned that ability to Thomas was super excited about that, especially because you can put that console on any ship.
Yeah.
And he's apparently been wanting that on quite a few ships for a while now.
He wants his own wave motion gun, and he wants it so bad.
But I mean, who wouldn't?
No, everyone wants a wave motion gun.
I was excited about that because I thought it was going to be awesome, and that's pretty much what a lot of people thought about it.
All right, who wants to see the wave motion gun again? So this is... did this start as a console design, or as a, we want to do this huge laser, make a console that makes it make sense?
I think there was... the idea was we were looking for a console, and we thought of a bunch of different things, and eventually, what if it was just like a lance-like ability? Because we've done a lot with, we've made our fair share of ships that have a lance, and this was a different way of doing it that we thought would be really exciting, and it's fairly accurate given that there's the lore behind the Herc ships is that a lot of them were used for mining-related activities.
Yeah. So they might have a giant mining laser on them.
If you read into the text on the console, like, the fiction behind it is, I believe that it originated from a mining laser, which is why it shoots at a fixed direction outside directly in front of the ship.
Right.
And since has been, shall we say, modified to be more than just... Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to when you first design these consoles and then write the in-universe fiction for how they make sense, right?
Yeah. That's... So when we're coming up with them, we tend to have some idea of where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of them are really obvious, like, hey, we want to do a saucer separation console. That one just writes itself for the most part, and some of them need a little bit more help of explaining it. But what I found is it really helps me to finish where I want the console to be at if I know how it makes sense in universe. Because then I can put, like, the actual ties on. This is why it makes sense that it's doing it. Maybe doing this other thing makes a little bit more sense.
Mm-hmm.
For this, it was I want a giant death ray to fire out of my ship.
Why?
There wasn't per se as much to tweak as there have been on some of the other things I've been working on recently.
Yeah. Things I assume you cannot speak of.
Well, the blogs aren't live yet, so I think I'd best not.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do know of which you speak.
Yeah. and there's always going to be something like that, you know.
Yeah, you're always going to be working on something.
Mike knows the ship that I'm talking about, and there's other ones that I'm working on, and there's other ones that we've had. You know, there's a pipeline.
Yeah,
stuff's in progress.
Things are always happening here at Cryptic Studios. Ships and things and Star Trek and stuff. So how do you approach designing a ship? Like, what goes into that process?
So the place it all really starts is honestly not up to me. There's some discussions of what kind of a thing are we looking for.
That will never be old.
So for these ships, it was, well, we're looking for ships that are appropriate for the Swarm lockbox. Probably going to be some of the Herc ships, and we picked some costumes that we thought made sense. And from there, it was a process of, now that we know we need ships for the Swarm lockbox, they're going to be Herc ships. From there, it was based on the costumes, based on the kind of ships we've released recently, what we've done with any other similar ships. Like, we had a Herc ship that was live at the time that I was designing these.
Yeah.
So that was useful as a point of reference. Like, the Herc Dreadnought has a really high hull and really low shields. So, while that doesn't necessarily influence what kind of a ship it is, science vessels are generally known for their incredibly high shields. It does influence how I stat them, how they end up turning out. So there's a lot of thought that goes into that, and then generally we want them to have a different commander tactical station, I would say. So like an escort carrier versus a dreadnought versus, you know, a science vessel. So because we'd already done one with commander engineering, we ended up going for the other two. Escort carrier and science vessel were chosen, or the multi-mission science vessel specifically, because those are types of ships with the appropriate commander station that have access to hangar bays, and flooding you with pets and
is very Herc.
The screen is very Herc. And then from there, it was just where did I personally want to take the ships based on, like I mentioned earlier, comparisons to other ships we've done, based on what the Herc Dreadnought already does, what the Herc mechanics are like, and where I wanted these ships in particular to end up. And there was a lot of time staring at a spreadsheet and mumbling.
So most of your job description then?
Yeah. There's a fair amount of staring at spreadsheets and mumbling.
Yeah. So you mentioned Herc, kind of by design, are high hull, low shield. Is there anything else about them that like is distinctive on each Herc ship?
The other really majorly obvious Herc thing is, I mentioned we want 5 million pets everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did this go into they all have hangar bays, you can also see it on, there's a console and a starship trait on these ships that spawn nullifiers everywhere, and then there's the starship trait of when you launch pets, make more pets, or when your pets die,
make more pets. Yeah.
Because we're just gonna cover the screen in swarmers.
This is I'm gonna use it for my Jem'Hadar carrier build. That's gonna have all the pets. It's gonna be amazing.
The other thing that was very unique about the Herc that was a little bit difficult to translate was the little Herc, the fighters, the frigates, whatever, are very swarmy. Like, not just they're covering the screen, but they have this tendency to get directly onto your tail and harass you in ways that few other enemies have done.
Yeah, it's frightening.
We played around with that a little bit, and ultimately, because none of the, like, that wasn't one of the ships we were releasing as a player ship, it didn't really make any sense to try and fit those mechanics onto one of the Herc ships that we ended up releasing, but we definitely thought about that because that was very recognizable.
And it's something we're thinking about for the future, too. We've really been pushing towards trying to get that working.
Yeah, but even still then, just we're coating the screen with a whole bunch of Herc that act like Herc with the swarmers. Should get a fair amount of that feel.
Yeah, for sure. So what are the Nullifier warheads do? Is a question in chat.
So the Nullifier warheads that you spawn with the player ship are a little bit different than the one the Herc swarmers do. For anyone with a Herc dreadnought, you can see for yourself. But these ones will both absorb any chaff shots headed your way. You know, someone's using fire at will or something similar. But they will also chase out nearby enemies and blow up and damage them. So aside from eating up people's fire at will or scatter volley or even torpedo spreads or what have you, they will do a decent chunk of damage all on their own. They're really good at just being a harassment tool because they will just chunk people for decent amounts of damage, and they the one starship trait that fires them off when you launch torpedo abilities was kind of designed because if someone is trying to shoot at your torpedo, having all of that other chaff in the area makes it a lot harder to target it if it's a targetable torpedo.
That makes sense. So it's really useful to use with the special torpedoes that are like slow and targetable. Yeah,
if you're firing a Tricobalt or the Chronoton Tricobalt torpedo launcher, I think it is, from the Lobby store, that one. If you're firing one of those, or even just a heavy plasma, it's worth having a bunch of nullifiers around to try and keep them safer.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, take my Delta Alliance marks, and then let's switch to the other ship and do this again. We're gonna watch some load screens for a while, guys. K-Baus is requesting that future announcement blogs have stats on things like the Nullifier warheads and explain what they do in more detail. Since that's your job. Let's see.
Okay.
Chaos by design. The chances of other ships getting unique bridges are always the same chances they always are, basically. If there's a reason for us to do them, we'll do them. But they're what was I going to say? They're not super because they take it the same amount of time as it does to design a level. We have to balance our environment team's time, whether creating a bridge for one type of ship or creating content that all the players can enjoy is more important. And a lot of the time most of the time, we come down on the side of stuff that all the players can play. My brain is not functioning with words much today.
It's a good thing I was the one who was writing blogs today, then.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are never not writing.
I'm never not writing blogs. I wrote 3 blogs today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not write that many.
Graham Bowers, I didn't upload the stream from 2 weeks ago because nothing happened on it. We hung around and talked and it was fun, but there wasn't really any big news of any kind, so that's why. All right, so tell me about the design of this ship. What does this Herc multi-mission science vessel with a vanity shield that I need to take off and do?
So it's a multi-mission science vessel which comes with its own set of rules beyond a normal science vessel. They tend to the first big standout is that they always have a hangar bay. They have the dual cannon equipability, so that helps tend to lean them more towards a tactical focus, which is interesting. Science vessels are generally pushed into more of a support role, or if they're not in a support role, it tends to be with their weapons as a secondary concern as to how they're dealing damage. So multi-mission science vessels are always interesting because they encourage you to use your weapons and your science or temp op or whatever kind of exotic damage you like doing. This one in particular is really exciting because it's one of the few science vessels that has 4 forward weapons in exchange for only 2 rear weapons, but that's a standout thing that I've enjoyed on some science vessels, especially one that have more than a 2 turn rate to make it useful.
Does this one have more than a 2 turn rate?
It does. This ship actually had a really interesting thing about its stat that is not entirely unique, but that is very close to the only ship of its kind. It's one of very few science vessels that has a larger hull modifier than shield modifier.
Right, because that's a Herc deal.
Yeah, it was done to deliberately call attention to this ship has lower shields and higher hull than you would expect. It's still got fairly high values of both. Like, it's not that it's going to have Raptor levels of tankiness or anything silly like that. But that was one of the really interesting design choices. I remember just leaning that hard into the care about their hull a lot more was one of the things that made this ship stand out stat-wise.
Yeah.
Along with the 4 forward weapons, like I mentioned earlier.
That's cool. Let's see. Okay, you may know the answer to this. Orangitis wants to know if the Dyson science destroyers are multi-mission science vessels in addition to being destroyers.
I believe the Dyson science destroyers are only science destroyers. Okay. If memory serves correctly, the only multi-mission science vessels are the Vestas, the T6 Vestas and their faction counterparts, the Temporal multi-mission science vessel from the Temporal Pack in the C-Store, and this one, but there might be another one or two. There's the Nakul one, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
There might be one more that I'm forgetting about, but I think that's all of them.
Okay. So tell me about the console. What am I about to do to this guy?
So, this is the nullifying tractor field. This is one of the other abilities I mentioned. It just tends to create a lot of energy nullifiers around the target, and the rest of the ability is fairly similar to tractor beam. Broadly, you're pretty much holding the target in place, and you're not only making it difficult to move, but now there's these nullifiers that just surround them and will start to close in on them and damage them, as I said before. So anything they're doing gets severely hampered. Their ability to move is both going to be painful because they're, no matter what direction they're running towards nullifiers, and also not really there anyway.
I thought I had God mode on. My bad. Yeah. The cool Demosh is not a multi-mission science vessel. The Sphere Builder is.
Ah, that would be the other one.
Oh, as with last time, players are asking you to talk louder.
Okay, yeah, I can try and talk louder.
Just shout. It's fine. Just destroy your voice for the sake of my entertainment. Boom! This ship doesn't come with this. I can't not use it.
It is an any ship, though, so
yeah.
It can equip that console.
Yeah, and I probably will be.
In fact, every ship I have made, including unreleased ones, spoiler, is part of any ship and can equip this console.
That's awesome.
That's not too big of a spoiler.
That's not too big of a spoiler, no. I think there's something that Jeremy was moving towards, and I was definitely encouraging him on, because I think making a console that he can only use on 1 or 2 ships is less fun for everyone than one that everybody can use.
Yeah, I think I talked about that a little bit the last time I was on stream. We can't do it for every console. Like I mentioned, the saucer separation console before is things like that are going to be kind of ship limited, but for things where it doesn't really have to be, we're really trying to make an effort to do the whole any ship thing. Kind of like with starship traits. There's a design theory behind starship traits that they could be of use on any ship. The only place I feel like we've ever really gone away from that is there's some that benefit hangar pets, and not every ship has a hangar bay.
But that's still pretty universal anyway.
I mean, I'm not claiming every starship trait is good for every build. You know, some of them affect torpedoes, but every ship can equip torpedoes. Every ship can equip some kind of cannons. Yeah,
that's true.
And so a lot of them are made. That's why you see like they affect any miracle worker ability and directed energy modulation, because not every ship has a miracle worker seat, but pretty much every ship can slot directed energy modulation.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that's one of the other reasons we do it that way. For anyone who's wondering why we make that choice a lot.
Does the big lance thing do phaser damage?
I believe it does kinetic damage.
It does look like it does kinetic damage.
Well, if that's what the tooltip says, then that should be correct.
Hopefully. I've been flying with the sarcophagus pets for so long. I've forgotten what it's like to have pets that live to get promoted.
Yeah, these ones will do that.
I might switch to these if I end up getting one of these ships.
The sarcophagus pets were really interesting to design. I wasn't the one responsible for the design or the implementation, but there was a lot of conversations going around about them because of their unique mechanic of slowly dying over time. There was a lot of discussions.
I don't know if they slowly die over time. I thought they quickly died over time.
Well, other things might quickly kill them.
That's true.
Yeah, they're very unique, and I'm glad that at least someone likes them.
Yeah. Katie, 1972. Will that console be in a box? The console comes on the ship, but you can move it onto other ships.
The consoles that came in packs tend to be ones where, like, there's a Federation ship that has its own console and a KDF ship that has its own console. So if you were fed, the only way to get the KDF ship was, or the KDF console was through the box, because you couldn't ever open the KDF ship.
Yeah.
But since pretty much all of our ships these days have equivalents for another faction, and the ones that it's either like there's a counterpart ship for the or Feds or ROMs or Gemtars or KDF that come with the same console is what we tend to do in those cases. So consoles in a box are probably not going to be appearing too much more.
But you never know.
But you never know.
Yeah. Kayla BX says now that you're in charge, you need to give her Gauss weapons or mass drivers as standard weapons.
Thanks, Kayla.
Is that someone I've met?
That would be my girlfriend.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Cthulhu wants to know how the new players will handle the kinetic beam because they don't understand what happens to kinetics.
So I believe all torpedoes tell you about kinetic damage. I also believe that shields tell you about what happens to kinetic damage. Beyond that, as anyone who has ever run Infected the Conduit knows, we have unshielded targets in our game that react totally fine to kinetic damage. And I hear there are sections of our player base that like to run Infected the Conduit. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have you heard this, Mike?
I think I have, yeah. Oh. Just a few.
Yeah. Broadly, all of our damage types have something about them, whether one of the things about kinetic that I know is not said much and does not necessarily make up for the shield thing is there is a lot of sources in our game of all energy damage resistance, and people, because of these choices that can be made, kinetic damage is not energy damage, and so people speccing into energy damage resist get more protected to energy damage than they are to kinetic damage from that. There's a lot of different levers that we can do with damage types. For a lot of things that can go on any ship, especially if it's not tied to a specific faction, we try to avoid tying them to energy damage types, especially if it's, well, now we're up to 4 to worry about is Phaser, Disruptor, Polaron, and Plasma. Because when we do something this is Phaser damage or it's a bonus to Phaser damage, it's better on Federation characters because they tend to have more items that synergize with phasers. So that was why we ended up going with kinetic, because tying things into phaser damage that aren't Fed related is innately a bit weird, and it has some pros and cons that we try to avoid. And the way that kinetic damage interacts with shields is something we decided was worth not having it be phaser damage.
Yeah. Prank Kill, since I'm guessing I'm getting this question a lot, they're asking whether we're going to be ever making the Discovery era Constitution class that we saw in the end of Season 1 of Discovery. There's nothing announced yet, but that was the #1 most requested things from Discovery. We would be a fool not to make it, and that is all I will say about that. Will it be coming with Age of Discovery? No. But is it something we work on in the future? I mean, you worked that one out for yourself. You're a smart kid. Let's see. All right, I'm trying to see if there's any other questions to be asked. J.E., I'm missing the first half of your question. K-Bouse, this is actually something Jet can probably speak to, but wants to know if there's plans, since we're focusing on improving older parts of the game, on improving older systems, like, say, bridge officers or duty officers or things of that nature.
I've had conversations with people about improving various things. I'm not going to say what, because I don't want to make any promises, but I know these are topics that have been going around, and how much more beyond that I can say, I don't really know, so I'm just going to say I know it's things we're thinking about, at minimum.
There's a list on Jeremy's wall, and I've seen the list, and it's a list that would make people very happy if they also saw the list, but it would also make them very sad because they would think seeing the list means it was all coming out tomorrow, and it's not. A lot of it is still theoretical. And kind of up in the air. But there's, like, anything that's a major request, like, for a common example, a tab for your pets, we hear about all the time. And we know about, and we are trying to make work, I promise.
A more ship-related thing I can answer is the escort carrier. It turns out I made a mistake in the blog, and I am a truly awful person, and this is the first you're hearing of this mic. The console layout that you're showing off on the stream on the escort carrier
is incorrect?
Is the correct version.
Oh, so the blog is wrong.
The blog is wrong.
Okay, we should fix that.
Yes, we should.
Could you send me the right one?
I'll coordinate that with you afterwards. But I wanted to say the 5 engineering, 3 science, 5 tactical, 3 engineering, 3 science is the correct console layout for the Herc escort carrier.
Okay. Good to know.
Not 5 engineering. That would be an unusual escort carrier.
It certainly would. Sail and Stormwing, we've made a bunch of Cation and Farasin, Riemann and Tellarite and Vulcan ships. They're in the game already. If you want more of them, probably somewhere down the line we'll end up doing some of that stuff. There's a lot. Discovery gave us a ton of new Federation and Klingon ships to make, and I think it's not a surprise to anyone if I say that's going to be a lot of the ships coming out for a little bit. But you never know. We'll see. Let's see. Duncan, Idaho, wants to bribe me with bacon to go write Foundry things on Jeremy's board. Jeremy has nothing to do with the Foundry, bro. He couldn't fix it if he tried. That's all programmer stuff.
That's not an insult to Jeremy.
No. That's I just mean
there are things that people know how to do, and
that is not one of them.
Yeah. You don't want me trying to fix issues with clipping and character art pieces, for example.
Apparently, when you said escort carrier, it sounded like you said S-word carrier, and now people want S-word carrier. Design an S-word carrier, Jess.
It is an escort carrier. I will enunciate better.
Sure, John Sparks, I can give you a look at some Herc weaponry. The damage type is energy damage. Is that it's phaser damage? Oh, phaser damage. There it is. And the procs, I don't know. What are the procs, Jet? Tell me about the procs.
I don't know.
But you made it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, right. You made the ships, not the weapons.
On the ship.
Unless it gets the hose again?
It would be a different designer that made these particular weapons.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, I'd be happy to tell you a lot more about them.
Who should I be grabbing?
You should be talking to Rob about
That's Rob?
Weapons.
Okay, I had a feeling. I'll go shake his cubicle later and find out for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a Discovery-themed KDF UI? Not for this release. Maybe later. If we decide to do a Discovery-themed KDF faction or something of that nature.
I think it's probably accurate to say a total UI revamp, like what we do when we make a new playable faction, is a lot more work than people, I think, realize.
Yeah, it's a ton. We had 2 UI artists passing the Discovery UI back and forth that you're seeing now for months upon months before that got made.
Yeah. It's funny.
Sir Boulevard wants to know if you have any plans on going back to missions where we critter into other ships and updating the layouts and builds for those ships, which is a very common request because apparently all of those builds are bad.
So, are we talking about the recently released episodes we did that, or older things like
older
Temporal
things
Ambassador?
like basically they're talking about the Enterprise C, is the first one that got brought up.
Yeah. Okay. It's something I have mentioned a lot that I would like to do. It's something that has been I think, agreed that it would be good for me to do. So there's a decent chunk of time. It's certainly not insurmountable, but it is definitely something I would like to do. I think that the tech we were using more recently is a lot better than the tech those missions are using overall. And just a number of things like the fact that the weapons come auto-firing and some simpler things like that. I would like to make that better, but for some of the missions, there's a reason we're using that, which is right now, when you go play through Temporal Ambassador, the system that mission is using, you see all of the items on the ship and everything. As to just making the build better and not giving it actual better quality of life changes, that's a lot less likely. If it's too difficult or too easy, that's one thing, but just making it a meta build is very unlikely to happen.
Especially because meta builds change all the time.
Yeah.
There has been some discussion, and I think it's fair to say that those part of the thing that we need to do in terms of teaching people better how to build ships in our game is have those examples be better. And I think that's something we think about a lot. But in terms of like just redesigning them so that they get the most deeps is probably not something we would do.
Yeah, that's accurate. There's also a lot of one of the things that we've, I'm sure, mentioned in the past is we equip a ship with weapons because we want to say, hey, it can use these things, with the expectation that you then go and put on the things on the ship that you want to have there. Unfortunately, it seems like this apparently gets lost in translation, and I think we're working on ways to fix that. We've discussed recently a bunch of different ways we could make that better. I'm not going to speculate on all of those
what those things would be,
because I don't know which ones we'll get to do. I know one of the things I actually just did for a ship that I don't remember which ones, I'm definitely not going to say, but it comes preset to the weapons power preset instead of just balanced across the board. So when you commission the ship, it comes set to 100 weapons power, 50 shields, 25 auxiliary, and 25 engine power. So that for the people that don't know they should hit the weapon slider, they don't have to, and it just comes stock like that. So we're trying some things like that to see what we can do to make this a better experience already.
That's cool. Yeah, we had the big thread we talked about a while back on Reddit and the forums and Twitter about what we could teach better. That we've been really going through and parsing the feedback you guys gave us and trying to come up with new things we could address. We did see that the #1 most requested thing was teach us how to build ships better. That was like, I think, 90, or everything. The next highest thing was like 50. So
it was also in that thread a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of the things that stands out at me from reading through that thread.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that comes down to me a lot, doesn't that?
A little bit, maybe. Well, you and content.
Yeah.
Working together. Your girlfriend says your hair looks amazing, by the way. It's funny because the green screen messes with hair color a bit. So Jet's hair in real life is bright purple, and in stream it's this really interesting blue-green combination.
Yeah, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's a nice look.
Might get that next time.
I have to think ahead because I'm going to dye my hair again soon. I have to think ahead about what taking the green out of it will do to it.
Yeah, so actual green, maybe not the best idea.
No, that's exactly what I did, and then it was blue for a while, which is weird. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. All right, cool. Well, here's an interesting question. I won't be able to answer it, but Wraith Shadow wants to know what your take is on what is an average DPS and what is a high DPS. They're going to want numbers, Jen.
Yeah, they're going to want numbers. DPS is an incredibly contextual thing. If you're parsing Hive Onslaught Elite with a good team, you'll have a vastly different result than if you go and pug Infected the Conduit normal. If you go and play Argala on normal, that's going to be way different than if you go play Crystalline Cataclysm on advanced. So answering that question is close to impossible without the context of in what kind of a team, on what map. In the context of Infected the Conduit Advanced, with an average team, I would venture to guess the average player is, and by this I actually think I mean the median player,
right,
the one at the 50% mark, not an actual average of all the DPS, is
right,
probably in the 10k range, maybe in the 5 to 10k range. I know that doesn't necessarily reflect what's been uploaded to parsers, but I think both because parsers store the best number and because it's dependent on one of the people in the run had to upload, that's the average isn't going to be completely reflected there, even if you get an average, which is of some use.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Cool. All right. Well, Jet, I think I can let you get back to work because I don't see any more questions about the Herc ships. But thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah.
And I will see you when I get back down to my desk. I was like, I will see you later, and then I was like, wait, I'm just going downstairs where she works. All right. So we got half an hour left in the stream. I know it's been a day. So hit me, guys. What do you want to know? What can I answer for you? There's some stuff that I won't be able to answer, like usual. There's some stuff that we're working on or haven't announced yet, or stuff that I've covered in the stream already that I won't answer. But if there's something you want to know, hit me up and we'll try and answer it. Wraith Shadow, I've answered that one so many times. I've talked to character artists about it. You know that. Wins a run. Why is the frame rate in the background so low? Because it's a recording that's playing on a stream while I'm also running the game. So that's just life. It's nothing to do with the game itself. Tuscan 38, it takes 3 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. A 1, a 2, a 3. Did anybody else, when they saw that commercial when they were a kid, not realize that commercial was like 40 years old? Like, I had always thought it was just done in an old-timey style, and it turns out, no, they'd just been running that same commercial forever. Sexy Killer. Yeah, we can talk about upcoming content. We did it already. You saw the Starfleet Academy earlier. I've shown off some ships that aren't out yet. We talk about upcoming content on the stream all the time, guys. I make a joke catchphrase. But I'm not going to, like, spoil stuff on the stream that we haven't announced yet for the reasons that I go into every single week. Let's see. Oh, Cthulhu. All right, I'll show off the traits in the console. Hold on. Here's the console. No, you can't see that, because I'm not on the right stream thing. Just a second. There we go. Here's the science console. Take a look at it. Tim Hughes, there's always a possibility we'll go back and look at old traits and things of that nature to see if they need upgrading. We don't tend to make changes based off of meta. So there may be some things that are just working as intended. Graham Bowers, it's an interesting suggestion. I'll pass it by, Jeremy. Sexy Killer, that's what I try to do. I try. Skur Hallways, I'm all of my lullabies that I sing to my daughter are Steven Universe songs generally. So if you want a Steven Universe song, I can do a little bit of that, sure. Horient, I believe the Alien Gen options for Discovery Captains are indeed identical to the 2409 Discovery or Starfleet options. But I don't have that for sure. And there may be restrictions that I'm not aware of. Certainly the uniform options are different. Lee Martin Watson, we're still looking into it. If you guys are dealing with the queuing issue on consoles, any more information you can send me would be great. Anything, videos. We thought we fixed this stupid thing 3 or 4 times, and players keep saying it's not working. And so it's hard to tell, because what everyone's sending me is like, okay, well, we try to queue and nothing happens, or we try to queue and other players forget to accept, and so the queue doesn't launch. But I get the overall feedback that console players are having a really hard time getting into queues right now. I have marched into Keith, our head programmer's office, several times in the past month to demand action. Well, I asked nicely, actually. We're looking into it, but we need more details. We need lots more details. So anything you can send us would be super helpful. Yeah, you guys want to see traits? I can probably show you traits. No, I can't because they're not unlocked on this ship. I have to actually get you the ship to unlock. The set bonus. The set bonuses should be in the blogs, guys. So I'm not gonna try and track that down. JE, apparently I'm a traitor to the House of Torg. That was official canon in a fiction blog. So Firefly00, you've been in the stream for a long time. You should know better than that. Don't send me something that just says address Defera issues. I don't know what issues you're referring to. I know there's a lot of bugs that have been reported on Defera over the years, but you're gonna have to be more specific than just address them all if you want me to get something fixed. Okay, right click and then more details. Got it. Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Here you go. Set bonuses. Enjoy. Graham Bowers, I can say something more on that. He's wanting to know if other actors other than Mary Wiseman are coming to Star Trek Online from Discovery. We announced Rekha Sharma, who played Landry, and was also in Battlestar Galactica, for those of you who are into that. At STLV, we announced she'd be coming to the game. That'll be happening closer to the spring, I would say. In terms of other actors, we haven't actually confirmed anyone yet, even on our end. So I couldn't tell you if I wanted to, because I don't know, because nobody knows. We would love to get all kinds of people in the game. I know that... wow, my brain just borked on the actor who plays Stamets' name. But he's shown a lot of interest in it. So, yeah. We want to get more people. And Discovery is an open, wonderful book, and we talked to a ton of people at STLV about the possibility of being in the game, and a lot of them were very, very open and excited about it. So, Anthony Rapp, thank you. God, Rent was my favorite musical in middle school, and I keep forgetting Anthony Rapp's name on stream. How is this possible? Can you see the Universal Console from the lockbox? Nee. The reason I'm saying I don't think I can is because it didn't come with the ships when I automatically granted them to myself. And so I don't know the item name for it, so granting it to myself is hard. I will see if I can get you a screen grab of it later and put it up on Twitter or something. Windsor Run, we're looking to remake old missions that aren't as good anymore. That's why a lot of them are coming out temporarily with the new mission log update. The Q mission might be on that list, but as it's an older mission, I don't know for sure. It would be nice, I know, for a lot of people who liked that mission back in the day. Again, like we talked about last time in the stream, I think someone brought this up. I don't think we'd want to do that now without John Delancey. And so I think if we found the right time to bring in John Delancey, maybe we'd bring that mission back in addition with some new content. SF Lord Xandor, are there going to be Easter eggs referencing Discovery Season 1 and Age of Discovery? Probably. Caught, I think I just answered that. Tim Hughes, yes. We actually have a lot of wonderful drops from CBS that have really cool things that we can't tell you about from Season 2 of Discovery and from other things in the works. I actually know a single detail about the Picard show. I know one detail. I could never tell you, but I know it, and that makes me feel good. In terms of Discovery, Season 2, yeah, they sent us a lot of art assets and concept art and other things to look at. And it's pretty cool stuff, dude. There's some stuff. I can't tell you about it, but there's some stuff. Yeah, I can show the traits. Hold on. Traits! I'll just hold on these for like 10 seconds each. You guys read fast, right? Do-do-do. 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 And a tier 5 trait. Which I'm going to get one of these ships to get this trait. I'm going to have to. It's just I need it for my... Because I have a Jem'Hadar build that I'm working on. That just needs all the things. All of the things. He's got a... he's flying a carrier, and the carrier has wingmen, and it can detach out the back, and I just need to load it with all the pets. I need to have all of the pets. All of them. All right, let me switch over to the other ship. And I think are they the same? They're not the same. All right, here's one. Here's two. Here's three. Ooh. Here's four. And here's five. And the nullifiers, if you don't know what those are, Jen explained them earlier in the broadcast, so you can go back in time and look at that. Electrum Leopard, I do not get these ships just for being an employee. A Spectral Stargazer wants to know if Discovery captains have the warp in and out animations as shown in the TV show. And some people have already seen this, but since he didn't know, let's go show him. Graham Bowers, we would love to get Dwight in as Barclay. That would be really fun. And that's certainly something that's on our minds. My personal hope is as we're moving into more Picard stuff, as that show starts up, that it allows us to do more TNG stuff we'd like to do too. So there's the Discovery beam in animation. Isn't it great? Cthulhu, I will definitely do that because I will need help. He's asking if I can make a build post in STO builds for my Jem'Hadar ship because I know I have rudimentary understanding of how to make an awesome build, and you guys have much understanding. I just look at the requirements for making a post in there, and I get terrified because there's a lot of information that you guys need, rightfully so. So I'll get into it. I will. Sail and Stormwing. No, the Picard secret is not the Picard's in the show. That's a good secret, though. I'm glad you told me. John Merriman, we've talked about doing a Star Trek Online app before, but the problem with that is, there's a lot of abuse possibilities with it, and so it's in the past we've looked at it, and it's most like things like the gateway. Unfortunately, were mostly used to take advantage of the game rather than things that we would like that were fun. So that's the unfortunate thing. That's the reason why we haven't done it in a while. Let's see. The concept artist for Discovery, I believe, is John Eves. There's probably more than just John Eves, but he designed a lot of the ships. There's another question I wanted to answer here. Oh, somebody asked if we were on Facebook if we were going to be changing our lore to based on any changes the Picard show might make. Don't know on that one yet, but interestingly enough, the Picard show's writers have asked for a bunch of information from us about this timeline. They don't have to use it, or this era, not timeline. They don't have to use any of it, but it's super cool. We hope they integrate some of the things that we've worked on over the last 10 years of this game into their show, since we're butting up on each other's timelines a lot. Michael Colley, you can friend me in game, absolutely. I'm not in the live server right now, so you won't, but please send me a friend request, just don't send it on stream, because I don't want to get bombed with friend requests on stream when I'm looking at stuff. Cool. I'm trying to see Lance Dragon, you're not wrong, but we're also not a TV show. Snake CL is definitely an option. If the Picard show or something else they do for Star Trek comes out and just totally eradicates everything we've done, we'll find a way to make it work. I don't know what that way is yet, but... are there any non-human species I can point out at Starfleet Academy? Well, there's a Vulcan right here, and we passed by a bunch earlier walking around. There are a lot of alien gen species walking around. But I think that's a Saurian, maybe? No, it's another alien gen. There's a bunch of alien gens walking around. I think the Discovery NPCs right now are just human, Vulcan, and alien gen, just like the players will be. And I would imagine as we add more Discovery playable species, we'll add them to the NPCs walking around here too. They don't quote me on that. Michael Cawley, yes, Jet is the... Jet's not on stream anymore, but I've still got her name up. She does do the stats for the ships, if that makes sense. John Wright, our character concept art mostly is done by Hector Ortiz, who's on the stream earlier. He is our concept artist. Graham Bowers can't confirm or deny whether Discovery and Andorians are coming as playable yet, but I mean, it's something we want to do. And it seems like a logical step. Let's say that. Orangitis, yes, we did. Lots of people coming into the stream really late and missing questions we already answered right at the beginning. Yeah, if you guys want to rewatch the replay, there's lots of questions about this particular map that I'm standing on right now. Because we walked through it with Scott Boyd, who is our lead environment artist, and he talked to us about everything. Okay, cool. John Wright, Hector is on Twitter, but I don't know his Twitter handle right now. Cool. All right, well, I think it is time for me to head back to my desk and do some more work. But I thank you for joining me on the stream. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, folks. Bye-bye.